So 2 days ago, I tweeted the following tweet that you can see on your screen here. I said, "I'm sorry, but this suit, referring to the Iron Spider suit, is so dumb. The tech stuff all undermines who Peter Parker actually is, a middle-class superhero. He shouldn't have millions of dollars in tech like this." And I will now reveal the response. So it got a decent amount of likes, 1,200 likes, but it received over 800 quote tweets, which let me just show you roughly what these tweets are. You can see, I'm just going to skim through them very quickly. They're virtually all negative. You're not going to find very many people shut your dumb ass up, casual, LMFAO. So a couple of main responses that you're going to see here, and again, I'm just going to keep scrolling. We're at this point through 20 of maybe 800. Okay, so there's plenty to keep going through here. But what I'll say is that most people have jumped to the conclusion that I've never read a comic book. I've never read a comic book. Tell me you know nothing about Spider-Man. I hate casuals in the comics. Blah blah blah. You don't read the comics. Blah blah blah. His suits don't pay the bills. He's still middle class. Have you ever read a Spider-Man comic book? Extremely casual take. Okay, so it's all these like pseudo gatekeepers. And one thing that I'll say is that many people know I'm a big DC fanboy. There's no shame in that. I'm not embarrassed of that at all. But what many people don't know is that the first character that I actually really started collecting comic books for was Spider-Man. It was after the 2002 Spider-Man film, which came out when I was 5. So I saw it a couple of years after the fact. I don't know. I was maybe 7 or 8 or something when I saw that film. And after that point, I was just obsessed with collecting Spider-Man comics. And he was my first true like comic book superhero love. So I've been reading Spider-Man comics again since I was 7 or 8. I'm 23. I've been collecting them consistently since that point. I've read old Spider-Man comics, new, modern, 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, late 2000s, even the shitty Dan Slott ones that he wrote, from a couple of years ago. I've read it all. So to assume here that I have not read any comic books is just very weird. I don't understand how people can assume based upon an opinion that Spider-Man, being a middle-class superhero, should not have millions of dollars in tech. People have not, at least to my knowledge, I've not seen anybody actually refute this point. I've seen many people say, well, it's happened in the comics before, so therefore you have to like it. So it's happened in the comics before, and the fact that you don't like it shows that you've never read comic books. That's basically the argument. And first of all, let me just state that whether or not it has been in the comic books has nothing to do with my opinion. I've laid out very clearly, this is just one sentence. I could expand upon it further if people want me to, but I said the tech suit itself all undermines who Peter Parker actually is, a middle-class superhero. That is fundamentally my argument. So the notion then, and you can see my notifications are still blowing, like literally every minute you're going to see just more and more people responding to this, and we can get into the comments here actually in a second, but I do want to address this point. The notion is this has happened in the comic books before, and therefore you kind of have to like it or you're a fake fan. That's basically the argument. As well, it is precedent in the comics. We've seen the Iron Spider suit in the comic books, which we can see here. We've seen more. I don't refute this in any way. This has happened. This is Dan Slott's run, which, by the way, I really, really like. Okay. Parts of it, not all, but parts of it. But does that mean that because I don't like it, I'm a fake fan or I haven't read the comic books? No, I've read them. I've read exactly what you all are highlighting here. I've read this. I've read this. I've read this. I've read this. Okay. But that doesn't mean that I like it. Okay. And it's such an absurd argument because you know what else Spider-Man / Peter Parker has done in the comic books? He's punched MJ in the face. He's literally grown 6 other legs to be a literal actual spider. These are all things that have really happened in the Spider-Man comic books. Does that mean we need to emulate that in the movies? Does that mean I want to see Peter Parker, punch MJ in the face? Does that mean I want to see Peter Parker actually have 8 arms so he's a real spider? Or 8 legs. You get what I'm saying. Obviously not, right? So the fact that something has happened in the comic books means nothing. It has nothing to do with what I'm saying or what my argument of why I don't like it. And nobody is refuting my argument. All people are doing is saying, well, it's happened in the comic book, so you have to like it. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You've never read any comic books, which again is a false assumption. I would literally bet money. I'm not just saying this to bluff. I would bet money I've read more Spider-Man comic books than I want to be safe here. I don't want to overestimate. I'm going to be conservative in my estimate and say 95% of these people responding. I mean, the vast majority of these people in the comments are clearly under the age of 18. And even if they're not, again, that has nothing to do with their argument. Okay, so I'm not saying because they're young, they don't know what they're talking about. Like their opinion is worth just as much as mine. I'm just a guy on the internet. Okay, so my opinion is worth just as much as every other person here commenting. But the reality of it is, again, nobody is refuting my argument. Read some comics, man. You've never read a Spider-Man comic. Nah, he tweaking. Go play Spider-Man on PlayStation. So everybody's accusing me. Sorry, I have to scroll up all this way. Everybody's accusing me of being a casual fan without any evidence of that. Again, I mean, I could outline how that is not the case. But, and then I just read a comment here. Why are you so pressed about it? It's because this is a strong opinion that I have. There are many strong opinions that I have about a number of things, and this happens to be one. I also feel strongly that Batman doesn't kill. That's a hill I'm willing to die on and be controversial about. And that's something that I get flamed for all the time as well. But that's my honest opinion, and I'm willing to die on that hill. I don't think that the Iron Spider outside of the Avengers makes sense. Now, look, if we're talking about Peter Parker fighting Thanos, I understand that is slightly different. I can see why Iron Man would give him an advanced suit like this. But when we're talking about in a Spider-Man story, do I want to see Spider-Man with this millions and millions of dollars in tech on his body? No, I don't. And I've already outlined that argument as to why that is. And here's the thing, is that, again, I understand it's happened in the comics. That doesn't mean I have to like it. I can have my opinion, and I cannot like what other comic book writers have done. Guess what? A lot of comic book writers suck. So what they did it means nothing to me. I don't care what they did, because what they did sucks too, and I don't like what they did. I don't like it in the comics. I don't like it in the movies. I don't like it in the animated movies. I don't like it in the video games. It's just my opinion. And it's just a very weird echo chamber of Twitter where, like, everybody now is name calling and assuming things about me that aren't true. Like, why would you jump to the conclusion that I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm not a Spider-Man fan? When there's no evidence of that. The only evidence you have is that I have an opinion about a suit. And frankly, I think it's quite dumb that anybody would make any interpretation or judgment about me based upon that, or about my extent or knowledge of about the character of Spider-Man. But it shows really how toxic the fandom has become, frankly, on Twitter. I think it's such a... there's just this pile-on mentality. And I will say, I need to find the person that actually did, that I want to give a shout-out to, because somebody does deserve a shout-out here. And I'm trying to find my tweet. No, it's up a little bit more than this. Sorry, give me 1 second. This person. Okay, so Matt McMuscles tweeted, yeah, Spider-Man has never used different suits tech ever in the close to 60 years since his creation. And I said here, I got to give him credit because he did actually ratio me. Okay, so I got 1,200 likes, and he basically doubled my likes. So, okay, fair. Matt, you're a YouTuber. I hadn't heard of you before this point. I don't say that as a roast. I just really have never seen your videos. But I will give you credit. Even though you didn't refute my argument, you didn't actually even say anything about my opinion. You basically just stated a fact that I already knew, which is that Spider-Man has had different suits tech in the last 60 years. Like, okay, no shit. But he did ratio me. Okay, so I got to give credit where credit is due. Good ratio. Well played, sir. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. But no, obviously a lot of people have also been taking heat for a similar opinion. Evan jumped in the fray and defended me, which was a big mistake, because then he started getting piled on. So, and it's, putting aside that it's bizarre that people are so angry about my opinion. I think that it's just weird, again, that people would make assumptions that are not true to try to debunk my argument, which, again, they have not even addressed in any way. So I don't know. That's really all I have to say about this. But as I was saying earlier, Spider-Man, I understand that fighting Thanos is different than fighting Doc Ock, but it's just not, it's not what I like. I don't like when Batman kills. And here's the thing, is that, Batman is rich as hell. Everybody knows that. And he's my favorite superhero. Okay. So, I've got nothing against, a superhero with advanced tech, but that's just not what I like with Spider-Man. That's not what I like in my Spider-Man stories. Spider-Man is relatable. He's personable, and most people, myself included, can relate to his background because he just grew up in a working class family, a normal middle class family in America, right? Batman, you can't relate to in that sense. You can relate to him maybe in the sense that you've experienced loss in your life, or tragedy has struck, or maybe your life has seemed great on the outside, but on the inside, you're really not happy with your life. You don't really, whatever. Like, there are a number of ways in which you can relate to Batman as a character, but there's one particular way in which I personally relate to Peter, and it's not this. This is just not it. And I get it looks cool. I understand. Like, everybody's saying it looks cool. It looks cool. I get it. I'm not saying it is lame. I'm saying that I don't like it. And that's it. That's it. I know it's happened in the comics. I don't care. I don't like it in the comics. I don't like when Batman kills in the comics either. I don't like when Peter Parker is a domestic abuser in the comics. That doesn't mean that just because it happened there, if it showed up in a movie, I have to like it. I still don't like it. I don't like it in the comic books. I don't like it in the movies. It's just that simple. So anyway, that's my take on this. I'll end it there. But wow, this was all interesting. Interesting indeed. People were fired up, man. They're still fired up. It's been 2 full business days, and I'm still getting comments like my notification. This is just my notifications. It's just exponential. So all right, well, we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted if there are any updates, and see you guys in the next video. Peace out.